The clients you're working the hardest for are probably the ones costing you the most money. And I don't mean that in a vague way. This is a real study based on 1,000 companies analyzed with numbers so uncomfortable, most business owners aren't going to want to admit it's true. And until you run this one calculation on your own customer list, you're never going to know exactly how much money is walking out the door every single month. I'm Abby Johnson with Matterhorn Business Development. I've worked with business owners in over 50 different industries to help them increase their profit, reclaim their time, and get out of the day-to-day of the business. I'm a certified Profit First professional, which is based on the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And today I'm going to go over something from the book that permanently changed the way I analyze a business. So this is straight from page 142 of Profit First. Mike worked with a company called Strategics, which is a growth consulting firm out of Chicago, and they did an analysis of 1,000 businesses. They looked at revenue, cost, profit, everything broken down from the customer list of each company. The first thing they did was they took every customer list and they sorted it from highest revenue to lowest revenue customers. They put these in 4 even parts. So the top quarter, the next quarter, the next quarter, and then the bottom quarter of customers just based on revenue alone. And remember, this was across 1,000 companies. This wasn't just a one-off or 10 companies or anything like this. What they found was the top 25% of customers were responsible for 89% of revenue. 89% just from one part of their client base. That leaves 11% to go to the rest of their 75% of customers. But here's what makes things even worse, is that the cost to deliver to the rest of the 75% of customers, it stayed the same. It wasn't cheaper because they made less revenue. It was the same cost to deliver to that 75% of customers. So you're spending the same resources, the same energy, the same employees, the same headcount in your company, all to service your customer list. Now, this might not be too surprising actually if you look at the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule applies to a lot of things, such as 20% of your sales reps are usually responsible for 80% of your sales. So that's just what we're seeing here in your customer list is 25% of your customers are responsible for roughly 80+% of your revenue. So just imagine if you have 100 customers on your customer list, 25 of them are responsible for the majority of the revenue, and yet your full 100-person customer list is taking all of the resources of your business. Now, what's really unbelievable about this study is when Strategics looked at profit instead of revenue. So money comes in, your expenses and resources are paid, what is left over after that? What they found was the top quarter of customers generated 150% of the profit of the business. How can you have 150% profit? The only way you can have that is that the other 75% of the customers were actually costing money, negative profit, and dragging down that actual total profit number for the business. And the way this worked out when they analyzed it is the 2 middle quarters, those customers were break even. They were not losing money, but they were also not making the business any money or any profit. And then the bottom quarter of customers who were actually responsible for only 1% of revenue, they were actually costing the business 50% of the profit to service these people. So what ends up happening is this top quarter, your superstar customers, the customers you want more of, are actually picking up the slack for your lower customers. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but usually those people paying you the least amount of money are actually the loudest as well. They give the biggest complaints. They are the pickiest. They require going back to their property multiple times or whatever it is. So an example of this is we were working with a landscaper and he had a mixture of mowing clients, weekly recurring mow clients and trimming and all of that. And then he also did these bigger landscape jobs where he would actually come in and mulch and sod and plant and all of those things. When we looked at his pricing for his mowing clients, we found that he was just very underpriced. I see this in probably 90% of the people who come into our program is that they are underpriced. They're scared to be priced where they actually need to be priced to be profitable. So this particular particular landscaper, he was underpriced. He had accounts that were only $90 a month, $100 a month, and it just did not make sense to keep these people on his roster. So what he did was he raised prices, and the people who fell off. And that was okay because those people were actually eating away the profit of his business. I also want to point out that at this time, he was making less money than his employees. He was making $600 a week, which was less than what he could have made if he went and worked for someone else. He was a smart guy. He could have easily gotten a six-figure job somewhere. This is why we were pushing profit so much for him, was because he needed to take care of himself as well. Once he let go of those low-paying Mo clients, he was able to take on more high-paying Mo clients. He got more commercial accounts that were more profitable and more revenue, and he started pushing more for those landscaping jobs. It was more what he enjoyed. That's what he actually wanted to do, and it was way more profitable for him than the Mo blow and go accounts, which is what he referred to those lower paying clients. So this is how we took this principle from profit first and applied it practically to someone. Quick pause. If you're wondering how to go about doing an analysis like this for yourself, the first thing is you have to have a handle on your current numbers. This means understanding your revenue, understanding how much you're paying yourself, what your true profit actually is. Most business owners I talk to don't know these numbers offhand. This is why we created the cash map calculator for you. This is a free download. Just click below to get your download today, and it will help you lay out what your current profit is and where it should be based on your revenue range. So click below and download your cash map today. Okay, so what do you do about this? How does this apply to you? The first thing I want you to do is take your customer list and organize it just how it was done in this study. So put your highest revenue customers at the top, your lowest revenue at the bottom. Now look at those top 25% of customers. You probably are going to recognize them instantly. They usually are your favorite customers already. You feel good when you're delivering to them because you know that you are profitable on those jobs or on that service that you're delivering. I want you to look at this top 25%. Who are they? I want you to call them, ask them questions. Why are they choosing you? What do they like about your service? Why have they decided to pay this amount of money and not go somewhere else? You need to really understand who these people are so that you can start marketing just to these types of customers. Now here comes the hard part. It's time to look at the bottom of the list. Those bottom 25% who are likely making up 1% of revenue and eating 50% of your profit. I know it feels wrong to let customers go, but you have to look at what is best for your company and your team. This is not about greed. This is about taking care of your people. And every hour that you and your team are spending on these profit-sucking customers is taking away from the high-value customers who are actually properly exchanging with you. And I know you probably have a big heart and you want to help as many people as possible, but you are eventually going to have to close your doors if you keep servicing people who are sucking the life out of your business. This doesn't mean you have to just let them go. I suggest at least raising prices, and the people who want to stay can stay, and at least they'll be more profitable. And the people who want to go, you will be fine without them. That's your homework. I want you to apply this to your own business. Maybe the numbers don't perfectly align with this study, but you will see some sort of pattern, especially with that lower 25% of your customer base. And if you feel like you're not clear on your numbers, I want you to download our free cash map today. This is a very simple spreadsheet to fill out, and it's going to give you a clear picture of where you stand with your revenue and with your profit currently. So make sure you click below and download your cash map today. And if you want to learn more about how to adjust your pricing to retain the most amount of customers, check out this video I have on the 10% pricing rule.